Welcome to a new Making Sounds episode, and this is the episode 3 about the POLY D. This is how it works. First, I show you the final result, then we go right here, we break it down, and then we finish the patch with some effects. You can go to the links at the description and find the link for the download to the patch sheet, and if you like all this, please let me know down in the comments. Now make sure you like and subscribe if you like it, and if you have the money and you want to buy me a coffee just to say thanks, you can go to the links at the description. Alright, so let's break it down. So this is going to be a poly type of patch. So we need to make sure that we stand on the poly. That's the first thing. So for this one, again, we start, with the default patch. And it's gonna be we're gonna play a triad. So we're gonna be playing 3 notes. So oscillator 1 is on, the 2 is on, and the 3 is on, and the volume for now is gonna be all the way up. And since we need to play a chord, all the oscillators, the waveforms, and the range and everything else, they need to be at the same spot. So I'm gonna stand on 8, 8, and 8 on 1, 2, 3, and the waveform, instead of using something with a lot more harmonics, I'm going to be going to a tri-saw. We are going to do a little bit of saturation, later on the effects section, but for now, we're just going to be using this. Now, if I play a chord, it's going to sound like that. Now, the oscillator number 4, I'm going to be using this to do some modulation with an LFO. I'm going to use it as an LFO. So I'm going to disconnect it from the keyboard so we can use it as an LFO. And I'm going to go to the low. Now, then which waveform? Well, it's completely up to you. In my case, I'm going to be using a saw. And then this is going to be the frequency, how fast the LFO is going to go. I'm going to put it just to start around 3. And then we can change it later when we get the patch done. Now, since we are going to be using the oscillator 4 as a modulator, this knob, the modulation mix, needs to be all the way standing, in oscillator 4, and then this button needs to be standing on oscillator 4. I want to do filter modulation, so this one is going to stay on off. Alright, so we're going to cut the high frequencies, so this one is going to stay low. I'm going to be doing filter modulation with the LFO, and in terms of the keyboard control, I'm going to keep this one off, and I'm going to turn this one on, and I'm going to use the decay, because again, we are using a chord. So, that's what I want. I want a little bit of decay. Right now, we don't get it because everything is just super closed. So I'm going to be adding attack. Maybe I'm going to be standing on 1 and on 1 on the decay, both on 1. And the sustain all the way up. So if I play a chord, it's going to ramp up. And when I release it, playing, I'm releasing, and it's going to go down. Now we're going to do some cutting off. I'm going to maybe stand on -2, something like that. And maybe the amount of contour, we're going to put it on 6. And we're going to do pretty much the same. I'm going to stand on 1 of the attack, and maybe right here at 1 on the decay. And on the sustain, I'm going to do 4. I'm going to do a little bit less than the decay. So it's going to be decaying way before. So if I play a key, it goes up and then goes down. Now we can do a little bit of emphasis just to give us that, if that's what you want. In this case, I'm going to leave it down. I'm going to be playing a chord in 3, 2, 1. So that's what I want. Now it's not super loud. It's pretty low in volume, but then when we add effects, it's going to go up in volume. So that's it. That's pretty much the whole patch. So let's take care of the filter modulation. If I play a chord again, we're going to be getting something like that. The idea is that I want to go up on this one, and I want to get the LFO from the oscillator number 4, and we are getting it, right? So it's modulating the filter. Now this is how fast. If I go down, it's going to be slower. If I go up, it's going to be faster. So I'm going to leave it on the 3 range, the number 3 right here. Now you can choose whatever you want. It depends on, your track or whatever it is that you're doing. But this is what we want. So I'm going to be playing something. It's going to open up, it's going to go down, and when it decays, I'm going to be adding a little bit of movement. So a lot of what's, the final sound is going to be the effects. Okay, so let's do some effects, because right now it sounds not that, good. Now it sounds cool, but not that good. So Now we're going to be I'm going to be doing a little bit of saturation with a Timmy from MXR, then a tremolo called Monument, great tremolo, and then a little bit of chorus just to make it wider, a little of delay, and a little bit of reverb. Okay, so on the Timmy, we have 3 positions right here. This one is going to be like the first, it's going to be a clean boost. The second one is a little bit more, compressed, and the other one is a lot more compressed. So I'm going to do a little bit of saturation, going to stand right there in the middle. And if I turn it on, as soon as I play it, it's going to sound like that. As soon as I turn it on, it's going to be a lot louder, and, it's just crashing everything. So the gain needs to be a lot down. So I'm gonna go to even 50% or something like this. Now this one has a travel control. We can bring a little bit more of the highs. I'm gonna leave the bass where it is, and then the volume maybe a little bit up. If I turn it off, so we get a little bit more with the Timmy, a little bit more meat. I call it meat. All right. Now, if you're looking for an overdrive that can do a lot of things, this is the one, right? This is not a tube screamer. It's not an SD1. It's not that type of overdrive that adds a lot of coloration. This one is just pretty clean. So coming up next is going to be the Monument, which is a tremolo. Now, as soon as I turn it off and the depth is all the way up, you can hear it going up and down. Now, the thing is that this one can do tap tempo, and I want to do 95 bits per minute. If I play the click track, this is going to be 95 bits per minute. It's almost there, I'm going to do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now we are standing on 95. This has 2 ways, the harmonic and the standard. The harmonic, it's emulating like the blackface, the amp, which is a different type of tremolo. It's just a different type. The standard is more like, a normal LFO. The harmonic is a different process. Now, I like this because it just gives you a more vintage type of tremolo. Now, the shape is still going to be a sine wave. We're going to stay on the classic right there. Now the rate, I'm going to leave it as it is because we are doing the tap tempo. Now the depth is a little bit too much. I'm going to go down. We just want a little bit of movement. That's all. Alright, so we get the movement right there. Now then the volume, when you turn this on, the volume goes down. So you need to handle the volume right here. Maybe I'm going to go up. There we go. Now, then you have the division, so we are on dotted right now. Now, if I go to the center, it's going to be a little bit faster. So in this case, I'm going to stand on the dotted side. We're going to get something like that. I think it's really cool. I love this pedal. One of my favorite tremolos. It's a little bit different from other tremolos. Other tremolos, they have a more vintage type. This one can be modern and can give you a little bit more vintage. So coming up next is going to be the chorus ensemble, and this one is a stereo. And now, we are starting to get into that territory. You're adding a little bit of chorus. I'm not chopping frequency, so the depth, this is the rate, this is the depth. I'm gonna maybe leave it around 50%. So we can hear the modulation going into the chorus, and it's just a game changer for this type of sound. Alright, so on the delay, I'm gonna stand on the digital, and the first one, it's the pristine, which is, a digital, super clean type of delay. If I play it, of course it's off, I'm gonna turn it on. It's gonna be something like that. Now if I go up on feedback and I bring the mix maybe around there, you're gonna hear it quite well. So it's again very pristine. So I'm gonna lock the tempo. So if I play it, right, so that's what we get from the repetitions. I don't want this. I want something maybe a little bit faster. So I'm gonna stay on 8. So it's a lot faster. And notice that now, if I play the keys, the sound starts to take form. Now the feedback, it's way up, and I kind of like it, so I'm gonna keep it up. I'm gonna do a little bit less. Now the mix is way too much. I'm gonna stand around 50%, maybe something, around there. If I play a chord, we get it. Now if I go up on the mod wheel, cool, right? So effects are pretty much like 50% of your sound. They're super important. Now on this pedal again, every time that you select a sound, the thing 1 and thing 2 are going to be something. This is the modulation depth and this is going to be the modulation rate. I'm going to stand right here at 50% so we can get some modulation on the repetitions. And that's going to be, the delay. Okay, so last but not least, I'm gonna turn on the reverb, and this one is we're gonna do something simple. I'm gonna stand on a hall. So if I go all the way up and play something, we just hear whatever comes into the reverb. Now the decay, I'm gonna put it around 2 seconds, 2 point something, maybe 3. Let's go 3, so we can make something large. All right. So when I go to the params of the hall, we get 2 options for the size, is concert and arena. Now arena is a little bit longer. I'm gonna leave it right there. Now the tone, we are gonna adjust it. So this cuts the high frequencies of the reverb. Of the effects, the wet signal, I'm gonna leave it right there. Now if I bring this and I blend this with the dry, it's gonna sound like that. Oh, sorry for that, just bumped the camera. So that's how it sounds. Now we could do a little bit less of the mix on the delay. I'm gonna go down just a little bit on the delay. All right, so that's gonna be the final patch. So we can play a chord and then just fool around with the mod wheel. Or maybe just, play. Right, so again, it's just a super cool. And remember how this sounds without the effects. If I get the effects off, it's gonna sound pretty dull. It still sounds cool, but it's not the same vibe, just a little bit different. Everything back on again. Alright, so completely different. Alright, so that's gonna be my final patch. Remember, you can download the patch sheet from the links at the description. Alright, so let's break it down. It's going to be a very simple patch. Now, most of the magic is going to happen right here. Maybe not so much right here. So in this case, I'm going to keep everything off. The first oscillator is going to be on 16. We're going to use a saw. Maybe I'm going to be using, a triangle right there. And this one is going to be on and all the way up. If I play it, it's going to sound like that. Now, make sure I'm going to stay on mono. And if you connect this through the USB, you can make it multi-trigger or not. So right now, the multi-trigger, since this is a bass, I have it off. I don't have it on, but this is, completely up to you. All right, so filter mode is going to be standing on low, no modulation. I'm going to be going to on the number 1, and I'm going to keep the second one off, and the decay, I'm going to keep it off. Again, if I play something, it's going to sound like that. We are not doing much, so we need to do something. I'm going to put the cut of frequencies right there on the -3. The resonance for now is going to be all the way up, and I'm going to be maybe going to around 2-ish, maybe a little bit less. Yeah, just, around 2. The sustain of the loudness control all the way up, the decay around the 200, maybe a little bit less, and the attack all the way to 0. And right here on the filter, attack all the way to nothing. And again, just a little bit of decay, not even getting to the 200. Same right here, a little bit less than 200. And the sustain depends on your bass. I'm going to keep it all the way up. If I play something, so I'm going to change the transpose to low so we can make it, it's going to make it a little bit easier to play bass lines. And if I play it, it's going to already sound like a bass. Now at the beginning, you hear, the clicky, you can do a little bit of attack. You're just going to get rid of this. I'm going to do a little bit less. maybe, there we go. Now, if you like that transient at the beginning, you can keep it, no problem. Now I'm going to keep it so all the way down on the attack. Now I could bring the noise, maybe white noise, and just leave it around, below 2. And again, it's going to give us something else. I'm not going to use this. I'm going to be using the oscillators that we have right here. I'm going to bring the oscillator 2. And in this case, I'm going to bring a tri-saw. Now, instead of staying on the same frequency range, which is going to be 16, this one, I'm going to make it lower. And I'm going to go this on this one, and I'm going to make it 16. So now we have, different ranges. And again, it's going to completely change the bass. Now, if I want a little bit more bite, I'm going to be turning this one on, and on this one, maybe I'm going to be doing it, I'm going to make it, a pulse, and instead of staying on 16, we could stay on 16 since we have a different, different waveform. This has a lot more harmonics, so it's going to give us that. If I turn it off, right, so different types of basses when we turn the oscillators. Right? So completely different. Maybe a little bit of glide, maybe something like that. It's going to do good for bass. Now everything else is going to be completely up to you. And the envelopes, if you want a little bit of decay, right, it's going to give you that. No decay. It's going to give you that. Now if you want a little bit more bite, maybe you can go up on the contour or maybe on the cutoff. On the cutoff frequencies. So right here, you have a lot of possibilities with the same sound. Maybe I shouldn't be playing that. Alright, so now it's time for the effects. As you could guess, this is a bass. I shouldn't be doing a lot of, a lot of effects. It sounds already cool, right? It sounds like a bass. Now, still, I'm gonna do some effects just because, I can, or we can. I'm gonna use a compressor. Sometimes using a compressor is just gonna help whatever it is that you're doing to glue if you're using it at the end of the chain. In this case, I'm using it at the beginning of the chain. So I'm gonna use it just to get a little bit more, attack at the beginning. So as soon as I turn it on, the attack release, and this is like the threshold, is all the way down. So this is just not gonna do anything. So I'm gonna let the attack pass. So the initial transient is gonna pass. But the thing is that I'm gonna be letting a quick release. So as soon as it opens and it closes, it's going to close right away. Now this is the threshold, and right now if I play it, notice that nothing happens right here on the gain reduction meter. As soon as I go up on the threshold, it's going to give us that, right? So it's doing compression. So if I play it, and that's what I want, a little bit of compression. And this is just something very normal, very normal settings for basses. If I do the opposite, if I go and crush the transient, it's just gonna crush it. And I don't like that for basses. I'm gonna leave it right there. Now, if I turn it off, now remember always to adjust the volume. If I turn it off, notice that it's still giving us a punch and kind of controlling the levels. Still, I'm going to go up a little bit more in the level. Notice it's a little bit more consistent, I would say. If I play it again. So coming up next, this is something that we could skip if we wanted to. We have the chorus ensemble. Now, usually I love using choruses or flangers or even phasers on choruses, on basses, and I usually do it on the DAW. I don't do it, with pedals, unless it's an acoustic bass, because I like to, make this bass wide, but I like to control the low end by making it more mono possible. But I like the wide sound that the bass can give me. If I bring this on, this one is a stereo chorus, so it's going to make it super wide. I don't really like it. I'm going to leave it because, again, we are just kind of learning and practicing. But if I would use this on the DAW, for example, if I was recording this, I would use some other effects or just affect it in post than, rather than use it as a pedal, because I cannot mono the bass. Or maybe you can just use the chorus as mono and not as a stereo. And then last but not least, I'm going to be using a reverb. And as you could guess, I'm not going to go crazy on this one. I'm going to be going to maybe a room type of reverb. And if I play it, it's going to be super long. I'm going to go to the decay. Let me do it with the other hand. I'm going to go with the decay and make it super short. Less than 1 second, maybe even on the 500-ish. And this is super short. Even less, less mix. I don't want a lot of, reverb on the bass. And it already sounds cool. Now if I turn everything off, right, so it sounds cool. It sounds cool for a bass, and we could record this and be good with the compressor. Just a little bit more flat. This one is going to make it wide. And too wide. Now on this one, we cannot control the wet signal. Maybe I'm going to bring a walrus. I would use a walrus. There's a course from Walrus Audio. The Julia, which is the stereo, but it gives you something, it gives you a blend control, which can help in this, case, in this type of situations. And if I bring the reverb, right, so it sounds cool. Even if I remove this one, it's going to sound cool. All right, so that's going to be my final patch. Remember that the sustain knob is going to decide how much you sustain. Still right here. If I go to 50, maybe I'm going to go around 3 on both of the sustains. Right, so completely different. So again, this is completely up to you. For now, I'm just going to keep the sustain all the way up. Okay, so that's it. Remember, you can go to the links at the description and download the patch sheet for this patches. And also, if you liked all of this, let me know down in the comments so I know that you like them and I can keep on doing them. Now, if you like all of this, please like and subscribe. And remember, if you want to buy me a coffee just to say thanks, you can go to the links at the description, and you have links for PayPal, you have YouTube thanks, and you have Patreon. Maybe you can be a 1-month patron and just, buy me a coffee that way. All right, so see you on the next one.